Sway in the morning, Shade 4-5, Heather B. This is why we started doing this show 6 years ago.
Talk about it.
We want to open up the world to all sorts of sonic sounds and creativity from different artists from all over the place. People who stepped on the scene and created a whole new canvas of their own. You know, and all of our guests have done that in their own way. We got a guy I consider a legend here. You know, and from some of the work he's done with a lot of folks from my good friend Common to you guy to Raphael Sadiq. I mean, he is an architect of a particular sound that has resonated in our playlist for over a decade now.
Easily.
You know, he is the pride of a city that often doesn't get the representation it deserves, especially when it comes to the media. All they talk about is what's negative, when all the time they have a beacon of light.
Wow.
Beacon.
With them all this time, the one and only Twilight Tone is here.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
How you been, man?
I'm great, man. I feel really good.
Only
Pardon the pun. I feel good.
You feel good?
Yes, sir.
I get it. There's other gentlemen here, Heather. I don't know if you want to do the introduction. He may not even realize how much impact and influence he's had on my career, on who I am as an individual as I stepped into the scene, being from Oakland, California, looking for somebody whose voice represented our voice. Mm-hmm. You know, we were always marginalized in Oakland. People thought we only talked about one thing. They always thought we created in one way, that we only had one sound, that we didn't confront issues. We didn't have introspective perspectives on world, on the life, on our neighborhood, on our school, on our friends, on our family. They thought we looked different when I had locks coming out of my hair and I wore baggy clothes and the colors didn't match. Mm-hmm. Until this wonderful, magnificent movement happened. And at the helm of that was a group called De La Soul. Mm-hmm. And we have Postanosis here.
Hey. Good morning, everybody.
Boy, got talent.
And then, finally, the reason why they're all together, the only reason why I could get these two guys on my show that I've known for years is a person that I've only recently met 24 hours ago.
Yep,
you know, and when I first heard about him, I want to say in the late 90s is when I really first heard about him. And not because of the projects he's doing now, it's because of a group that he was with that was introduced to me by a good friend of mine that I grew up with in the Bay Area and came up on the music scene when I was a young aspiring artist, that took me and my partner King Tech in his bedroom in San Francisco and had me reference vocals for different artists like Debbie Deb, you know, weekends, you know, funky music, you know, and writing all these different songs so I could get on to produce a track for me and my partner King Tech. And he told me about this magnificent project that he was working with, and the way he explained it then was it's this virtual group. And we didn't even know what virtual meant back then, that's coming together that I'm going to help work with. He actually told me he was a member of the group, and there's these guys from across the pond that's got a really great sound, and they're doing something really interesting, and they're also going to team up with one of your hometown heroes, Del the Funky Homo Sapien.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Where my story with him begins with being on the radio at KMEL in San Francisco, discovered Dale and the Souls of Mischief and Hieroglyphics because Opio's stepfather, Michael Ashburn, was my first attorney who did legal work for me for free and taught me about publishing.
We're going really
pro bono.
detailed here.
Yeah. Well, because I want to tell you the tie. And I've always been fascinated when he told me about the group and the movement, the Gorillaz, and how they kind of fuse and bended genres and blended sounds and just did something that was extremely unique back then. And now they're back with their fifth album, Humans, and everybody is all excited about it. And we have one of them here with us today, the one and only Damon Albarn.
Yes. Give us free.
Totally thrilled to have you on this show, man.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed the music you've made over the years.
Thanks.
And then you making your music available for so many different types of artists and how they've all blended. Because you can do that and it cannot work a lot of times.
Yeah.
But you've been able to do it.
Well, I can only do it if I'm working with
like the right people. And on this occasion, I did this Skype call. When was it? Like last January?
January.
Yeah,
January.
with my good friend Remy Kabaka, and you were on the other end of the Skype, and you were actually wearing the same hat and had a slightly bigger beard.
I was naked, but I had this hat on.
Yeah, but bigger beard.
Okay.
Yeah. And we got on from that. I mean, it's hard to know if you're going to get on with someone, but I think we.
Yeah, once I put my clothes on.
And then he came over and he didn't leave for a whole year. Yeah. Really, you became thoroughly anglicised, actually.
Exactly. I couldn't stop
really
drinking tea.
Yeah, so y'all lived together for a minute?
No,
okay.
No, we just
well,
in the studio.
We did actually live together for a little while in Jamaica.
In Jamaica, wow.
I wasn't invited.
It was
yes,
good.
sir.
They just wanted your vocals, dog.
There you go.
It's all about the vocals. Damon, where did you grow up, man?
I grew up in East London, Leytonstone, and then when I was 10, I moved to Essex, which is the kind of the county above London.
I told a story how Pastor Noose and his group and that movement really helped, in my own mind, validate the things I was trying to do at that time. Who were those?
Oh, definitely. For me, it was the
For
same
you?
thing.
Same thing?
Yeah, I had two really intense experiences. Actually, the most intense one was when I first came to New York. I had to go and do a radio show in the Bronx, and I'd had a really late night. I think tequila was involved.
Okay, that happens.
And the radio rep came to pick me up, and I was just in such a state that I opted to go into the boot of his car. So he put me in the boot to drive me all the way up to the Bronx, and he played Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul, and that was my introduction to hip hop.
What did you think of that
In the boot
stuff?
of a car.
Being from overseas, it was still relatable, right?
I'd been aware of De La Soul prior to that, but being in that boot of that car, feeling the way I did, driving across Manhattan, would sort of I connected with it.
Boot, guys.
Boot, sorry.
Boot.
Oh, I thought I was using an Americanism.
The trunk. You were in the trunk of the car?
The trunk of the car.
Why y'all act like you knew what he was saying?
I knew what he was saying.
Oh, you knew what he was saying?
I've been going, I've been traveling overseas since '88.
Damn, we just
Thank you. I was waiting for the stunt. I was dying for the stunt.
Okay.
There you go.
The trunk.
I can't
in
say
the
that.
trunk.
In the trunk of the car.
I got truncated.
I like, damn, it's all right. You got lyrics, man. You got bars? You got bars?
Got a few.
When did you guys become aware of him and this movement, the Gorillaz, or even prior to that?
For me personally, the first album, of course, as you're saying, Dell is family.
Yeah.
Dan, known him as well. So just hearing it and seeing this group and seeing a video, like, wow, like, okay, I hear Dell's voice and I see this cartoon, and I was like, yo, De La, we've always been into like anything that feels different but feels authentic. And I would just we immediately as a group gravitated to what they were doing then. So I mean, of course, obviously I've known this gentleman Damon from his group The Blur.
The Blur,
of course, but the Gorillaz, that first album was really amazing.
You guys worked together prior to this too, right?
Yeah, 2004 was when we first.
Yeah,
that's when you first hooked up. Now, what was it about this guy that appealed to you, other than the beard?
Well, with this record, I wanted to do something different again. I wanted to have a sense of. You can hear my sibilance really. I'm sorry, I've got this kind of.
What is that?
It's just partly because I lost my tooth years ago.
Okay,
and I just.
Is that what the brown thing is?
I can just really hear it. Can you turn down my sibilance a bit?
Okay, there you go. Too loud for you? All right.
I just think people on the other side are listening to the radio.
You got a great radio voice, by the way,
Yeah.
man. Like, you got the kind of voice that, like, I say this often, man. I would have loved for you to read me bedtime stories as a child. Like, man, somebody else recently came in here and I said, you got that kind of voice to it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Barry White.
Yeah.
How do egos play out in all of this? With everyone being so accomplished in their own right, how do you decide what's this, what's that?
Wow. It's bigger than the ego because it's about the goals or the worthy idea you actively creating. So meaning, like, this is the destination. It's not about who's right. It's about what works.
Who's the one person?
I basically tell everybody what to do.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I mean, I know I'm quiet and I'm black and I got on this jacket, but I tell them what to do.
Again.
If you want the kids to like you, just sing it like this, motherfucker.
Right.
The concept behind this album was really interesting. As I was reading, I saw some of the commentary Pusha T made, and you instructed them to way before our president became president. To,
Yeah.
what was that about?
Okay. Well, when we started in January, Tone came over, and we had to establish some kind of ground rules for what we were going to do with this record. We the first thing we agreed on was pain, joy, urgency. That was something that we had to put into everything we worked on.
That was the mantra of the record.
Yeah, and then it was like I wanted it to be set in the near future, and I was pretty fascinated with the whole Trump thing. At that point, I'd been in America a few months earlier, and I'd seen a lot of stuff, and I was reading about it, a lot of it, and I just sort of thought, well, let's use that as a kind of dark fantasy for this record. Let's imagine the night that Donald
It was
Trump,
January early last year.
imagine the night that
2016.
2016.
Donald
So it's
Trump
far-fetched and fictitious that
wins the election, and how we're all going to feel that night. And that was kind of a simple kind of,
that was the carrot.
yeah.
And so
For everyone who worked on it, though, that's the conversation we had. It wasn't any more explicit than that. And sometimes, Pusha interpreted that and actually became quite literal about that. And so when we got it back, it was like, well, love this, and this is exactly where we're going, but we can't use those names.
These words, because if we use these words, it's gonna politicize.
Yeah.
And it's gonna date the music, Obama, Orlando.
But it's that
Trump,
feeling. It's that feeling. We wanted this record to have the feeling of now somehow.
Indeed, it's the record's created.
I mean, obviously,
to be now.
if Hillary had won, we'd be having a different conversation now.
yeah, right. Yeah, we would. It would.
But it would have just remained a dark fantasy.
Yeah, yeah. And so you guys kind of willed this to happen.
Well, we did have moments, didn't we?
Don't say that, man.
you willed Donald Trump into office.
I actually have. Well, yeah, I feel
to
guilty.
make this project work.
Okay.
I thought Warner made some calls on our behalf as a marketing campaign for this album, but yeah, it did come into the physical, and it's quite scary.
Yeah, yeah.
To see that something that was just a conversation for a fictional creative direction to come in.
Yeah, but as you say, you playing poker. You make decisions, don't you? And you have to roll with them.
Got to live with it. He knows.
Game
Damon know my game. They talk
Okay.
about my game across the pond, Heather. Damon, he knows about it. But it's been it's been 7 years though, man. Like the landscape of the music scene has really changed. Some folks say it's not for the better. I think it is. I see a lot of folks.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
It is exciting. I say what's different and what's the best thing from when I started. When I started, it was very simple.
Yeah.
You got your band together. You played around enough for a record label to come and find you. They'd find you. If you were lucky, they'd sign you. Then you go on tour again. Maybe you put a single out. Maybe you'd have enough of a fan base to get a little bit of a kind of sort of action on the charts. Not a lot. That would then get you onto radio. And then you go on Top of the Pops. There was one TV program in Britain. There was only one. So if you got on Top of the Pops, that meant your record would go up the next week, and you kind of made it. That was it. There was nothing else. So now, not only is there everything else, but you can keep putting out music every week if you want to. If you've got that enthusiasm and that creativity and that sense of, I want to express this now. You can do it, and I love that. I love that lack of, it's very sort of lacking in self-consciousness now. It's
going with your impulse, your instincts. But
there are also downsides of all of that, which is just it's a stream of consciousness that doesn't necessarily have a beginning or end, and there's a lot of bullshit out there basically, and also auto-tune. Auto-tune is the big thing. Is where's that taking us? when are we going to stop that? Are we going to stop that, or is that just the future? Is at some point everything is going to go through
no
this
pun
filter?
intended, future.
Yeah. Was that possible?
No, but you know what? You know what I mean. I mean, when we were in Jamaica
Yeah.
this time, it was kind of shocking because all the music from the last time the first time I recorded in Jamaica was with Dan.
Yeah.
In 2000, and you know, it was still reggae. There was a lot of dancehall and everything, but there wasn't. Auto-tune didn't exist. You could still hear the human voice.
Yeah.
This time, everything's through auto-tune. There's not one little corner of Jamaica, this island that's got this kind of sacred music in its DNA. It's been obliterated by auto-tune. So, you know, I know it's cool but everyone sounds the same.
Sounds the same.
Everyone sounds the same.
Can I say something? Because that was going to be my question about, you know, since the last album, or even pretty much everybody in this room knows how music has sort of, like you said, kind of just been filtered down into either EDM or pretty much like a trap hip hop sound, and everybody's blending together where you can't even tell them apart these days. Right. And so, I mean, you don't even hear rock music anymore.
No, it's dead.
You know, there's no room for them anymore. So does that make
Why do you think I'm in Gorillaz?
make you individually?
Hence the Gorillaz? No,
But does that make you guys at all more conscious and more aware of, okay, I don't want to sound like, if you have a record and it sounds like a good idea, and once you start producing it, wait, that sounds a little bit too much like we're going down this
lane.
Oh,
no, I mean, you can talk about
Well, I didn't want to be, or we didn't want to be reactive.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get my trap record, you know.
Yeah, that's what you was going for?
Yeah, I mean, they
No,
heard
not at
Mercy, and they was like, oh yeah, he's the guy that did Mercy. You know, no. I'm not. It was not about doing what I did, and it's not. To be honest with you, I wasn't familiar with the Gorillaz. I knew about the brand,
Yeah.
but I wasn't familiar with the Gorillaz. I didn't know the impact of the Gorillaz. I know Dell because I know him from Mr. Dabalina video in Opio in A+.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I know Paz because I remember him from the New Music Seminar in '89.
Plus, he hasn't aged one day since he first came out in the
Well,
80s.
yeah, he's the same dude.
Yeah.
He still owe me money. So, with the trap thing and with the so-called EDM, which are echoes of musics that I saw be born,
in Chicago.
it's no need to even look at that or respond to that. Now, it is scary when you turn the radio and that's all you hear, and you're making something that's so obtuse.
And also,
to them.
you know, if you're making something obtuse, you're gonna have a hard job getting onto that mainstream radio. You're kind of, you know.
Yeah, so which is, you know, this is a pleasant
Screwing yourself.
Yeah, we're
already.
grateful for being here in the face of all that. We're grateful for being on any radio platform in the face of all that. There's no knock to EDM. There's no knock to trap.
And also,
but we're doing the other thing.
we've all been around long enough to know that just because something sounds cool today does not mean it's going to sound cool
Exactly.
tomorrow.
You ever try to heat up McDonald's?
Damn, Tom,
No, I
you
haven't.
dropped the gem right there. Why would you? EDM, we were talking about EDM and I think the influence that the Gorillaz has had on the scene.
Yeah, like when you guys, you still use it, I'm sure, the projection screens, like when you tour. So when that first came out, it was like a crazy idea that why would somebody go to a concert to watch like an animated, you know, concert basically? And now I feel that's what EDM has turned into.
Also, I think I mean I might be wrong here, but I think, you know, the concept of the mass collaboration was something I didn't think people were doing that when we started. You know, now it's just standard.
Yeah.
That's you don't go anywhere unless you've collaborated with someone.
Not the cross-pollination of so-called genres that the Gorillaz have established as a group and as a brand.
Yeah. But some people use it as a crutch. You know, they can't stand alone, so they need to have the mass collaboration.
Of course, but no, honestly, I was pushing. I wanted Damon to do everything because my inspiration for this record was David Bowie and Luther Vandross. My inspiration for this record was Robert Palmer. So his version, I didn't mean to turn you on. I wanted to hear Brit over black music with black people singing behind him because I felt like the time and place, politically and socially, called for that, and that's why we come back to the mantra: pain, joy, and urgency. The music now is just focused on one thing: immediate gratification. We didn't want to focus on joy because we wanted to have the pain, not to allude to Frankie Beverly and Maze. And it needed to be urgent because, wow, look who's president now. Wow, What's happening? Wow, people are getting killed by the police. Not that that's a new thing. That's not a new jack swing. That's always been going on. But now you have people catching it on the phones. Yeah.
Oh, man, Twilight
Yeah,
Tone,
I saw someone driving down 8th Avenue yesterday who had a private number plate, and it was a swastika, but like jumbled up. I mean, is that acceptable?
No.
How can you in New York driving around with that?
Yeah, but because of the current
I
climate
know,
here,
but seriously,
it's
that's
more probable now.
well, clearly because I saw it yesterday.
Yeah. So, and that's what we're dealing with over here. What y'all dealing with over there, though?
Well, it's the
Same thing. Brexit, everything.
It's all in the same game.
Same thing, you know. And we I was just talking with Poss about coming over here. It seems to be the person that can make the most noise is the one that gets through to the people who don't really pay attention, and they're unfortunately the least educated in context of making these big decisions which involve us all, you know. So we've got to make more noise.
Make more noise.
We got to make more noise.
We got the power,
and not necessarily through auto-tune.
Exactly.
Right.
Because
or through looking through our phone.
Mind you, I quite like to hear Donald Trump through auto-tune.
That's happened. I'm sure it's a meme or something. You know, I want to play some music, and then I want to open up the phone lines for our listeners. We got Damon, Albarn.
Is this live?
Yeah, this is live, brother. Okay. This is live. Twilight Tone, Pasta News. 888-742-3345. Yeah. That's a song called "We Got the Power." Yes, okay. And I want to talk about that song. I want to play it, and then let's talk about it coming out of it. And that's on the album as well. Damn, shit, wait for the cue. Ready? Cue. We got the power to be loving each other no matter what. We got the power. Sway in the morning, man. We got the power. We wanted to play that because you and I were talking about this song.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot about Noel Gallagher guesting on this, and I guess people are making this like a bigger side story because
he's guesting. He's singing. He's kind of part of the choir on that one. You got Dram, myself, Noel, and Jenny Beth from the Savages.
And Jenny's the only one that's really credited on the song. Like,
well,
because
she's kind of got a verse, you know. I mean, for me, it would be like I was kind of like, you know, taking advantage of the name if I put it as a feature, because it's not. He's just part of, not just, but you know what I mean.
I understand. Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, Kanye uses a bunch of people in choruses on his albums and everything like that. I
like Paul McCartney.
Yeah, Paul McCartney. Exactly.
Where was he?
Yeah, it was. Well,
I don't know. The name was there, but I didn't hear it.
It's a part of creating an ensemble cast. And going back to the days when you used to read record credits and be like, oh my God, Eddie LeVert, Michael Jackson, Betty Wright sang the background to All I Do on Stevie Wonder's song.
Yeah.
That's who that was. No wonder it sounded like that. So
exactly.
everything's not about
Young Americans.
Being
Young
cheap.
Americans wasn't like featuring. It was
it's like,
you know, because at the end of the day, it's the less you talk about yourself, the better. The more impact it has.
Everything
that's
doesn't
what
have
people
to be,
don't seem to understand.
You see, you dropping gems right now. You're shocking folks here right now. The less you talk, the better.
It's the truth.
Everything doesn't have to be P.T. Barnum.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, right. But what was your question?
Well, I've seen that people maybe in the U.S. don't understand how big Blur and Oasis were. I mean, they became huge both over here. But in England, I'm sure that's...
Well, we had one big song over here, which is Song 2, which most people know as the Woohoo song.
Mm-hmm. We still play it pretty much at every party, you know what I'm saying? So, but there's been talks that there was like some kind of feud back in the day, and then having him on this album is kind of like a peace treaty almost. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, we've been friends for years, so it's not like a treaty. We did that over a drink like 6-7 years ago. So he really had always loved Gorillaz, and we just wanted to be on a tune. And you know, this record wasn't kind of a sort of natural fit for Noel Gallagher, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, it was perfect.
No, but the whole record wasn't a natural fit at all. And I was struggling to find a place where it would, you know, it wouldn't be just like a piecemeal kind of sort of
Look like
feature.
it didn't feel contrived. Or
Yeah,
you were trying to
exactly,
place him in
exactly.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God, the power, he just fell in the pocket, man.
Yeah.
And
it
this
felt right.
And this tune is kind of like it's right at the end of the album. It's after Benjamin Clementine sings this ode to
Hallelujah, money.
Hallelujah,
Woo.
money.
Amen.
So this is kind of like as the credits are running, the song after the actual story's finished.
Okay.
you
Okay.
know?
So, okay.
Yeah.
So this is the closing.
Yeah,
It's
but
the closing scene.
the closing
Okay.
thing.
But hopefully it's got some sense of optimism about it, and a simple, a really simple message.
One of my favorite collaborations is Mavis Staples, because we grew up with the Staples singers in my home as a child. That's what my mother and everybody rocked to.
I had that as well.
Yeah, you had that. I love that we all have. Isn't that the beautiful
Yeah.
thing that
What about music?
The music is like
Yeah.
better than religion. With how
Exactly.
it brings people together. Religion can be divisive.
I grew up in the east end of London, and at the end of my road there was a Pentecostal church, and I used to get on my bicycle on a Sunday and go and listen to people singing, and I didn't feel like I could go in then, but like 25 years later I did a record called Everyday Robots, and I went back to the church at the end of my road as a kid, and I went in there and I contacted them, and they sang on my record, and then they subsequently invited me to a convention, and I had a fantastic time.
Wow, man.
And it was something that had been in me since a little kid, you know what I mean? And now through the door, and I was in the room, and it was beautiful.
That's how you know you evolved.
Yeah.
Pusha T, Mavis Staples. Were they in the room at the same time? Or?
No,
Oh, okay.
separate times. The track was created. Let Me Out came out that term, and then it was like wanted to create a dialogue between the youth of today and our elders. You say that we grew up with Mavis Staples, all of us. For me, that's literal, because that's the first band that my uncle Hassan Khan played in as a bassist.
Wow.
So for me, it's kind of personal, and it's kind of like a Trojan horse slipping her in, but then putting her with somebody like Pusha T, who I really respect what he does. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a fan of drug rap, but I respect what Pusha T does and how his perspective on it. And so I just thought, who better to put together on this soundscape, and then have Damon tie it all in together again with that, from that Brit perspective, in contrast to this Black American plight.
Yeah, and I hadn't written the lyrics. Well, I had the lyrics, had the melody. I didn't have the lyrics, and I'm always get quite nervous when I'm working with kind of older artists.
Why?
Well, because the language I use sometimes is slightly weird, and it doesn't necessarily make sense, and sometimes it's a bit jarring if you have personal beliefs. I mean, I've had it twice with Dionne Warwick, that she has
Dionne Warwick.
Shout out to Dionne Warwick.
Yes.
that at the last minute, it's the lyrical content has kind of sort of prohibited us going any further. I mean, at least this time I did manage to sit down at the piano with her and play, which was quite nerve-wracking actually. I don't normally get nervous, but having Dionne Warwick sitting next to me and me playing, I felt like a very poor Burt Bacharach. So we decided to catch the train from New York to Chicago.
Yep.
And I spent the whole time in my little cabin. Like, oh, is she gonna like this? Is this gonna work? Is this too much? But trying to find that. That's the beautiful thing about Gorillaz, is finding that common ground, and that it can be really, really fine sometimes, but it's golden. When you get in there, and as soon as I met her, she was just such a sweetheart, and she's got such a young spirit about her.
She's really ready to.
It was fine.
How did you react to Pusha T's verses though, and what he was saying?
Were they on there yet?
I think we probably hadn't put them on there just in case there was any.
Yeah, we didn't want to frighten her.
Sometimes we don't.
You know what I mean?
We don't
Right.
necessarily give the whole picture away straight away.
Yeah, we just wanted to let her do her thing freely without any influence.
Yeah.
Let me out. Let's hear a little bit of that. We'll come back. The Gorillaz are here. 888-742-3345. Twilight Tone, Pasta News, De La Soul. Everybody's here. You want to talk to them? Open up these phone lines.
Yeah.
Is gone. Who is left to save us? We mourn. I'm praying for my neighbor.
Let's just rock out to this for a second. I'm going to take some phone calls if y'all don't mind. Sway in the Morning, Shade 4-5. You got to get this project, Humans. It's out tomorrow. We got Chris from Texas on the line. Chris, what up, baby?
Hey, good morning, everybody. How you doing?
Doing okay, man. What'd you like to say? Go ahead.
Man, such a big fan of Damon Albarn and the whole theme behind the Gorillaz. You have no idea how much they've gotten me through. I've skateboarded for 10 years of my life just jamming to the Gorillaz, man. The voice of 2D, man, it's beautiful. It can get you through anything. The Gorillaz, man, the best vibe in the world.
Thanks, man.
Wow.
Man, well,
No idea, man.
you should be happy because they got a new album coming out. Gorillaz doing a new Are you doing a series too? A TV series?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
all of that stuff. I mean, that's networks and politics, and
Okay. But you have an app that they could.
we've got a lot of
Lot-
apps.
Yeah, a lot of apps, man. Live through the apps, baby. You got to see what he looks like animated here live in person. I didn't even know this was possible. All right, we got Cal from Connecticut. What up,
Hey,
Cal?
What's up?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Doing
Peace,
okay.
man. What up? What up?
Good. Yo, Damon, I really wanted to say, like, just the Gorillaz in general, like, what solidified my belief that you guys are true artists is when you collaborated with MF Doom on November Has Come. I
Yeah.
mean, that song, like, changed how I thought about music itself. Like,
Oh,
MF Doom is just one of my favorites, and the way you guys collaborated, man, that was just amazing. I still listen to that song almost on the weekly.
nice. I mean, that means a lot to me. I mean, he's a really interesting artist. He's
He's an
not.
artist. He truly
He really
is.
is an artist. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go to Ohio. Josh, what up?
Hey, Josh.
What up? Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Man,
Good morning, my
I just
brother.
gotta say this. Gorillaz have been one of my favorite groups of all time since I was 15. I mean, I remember you guys doing Clint Eastwood, and then you guys came out with Stylo, and that Stylo was,
Oh,
man, that
Bobby
was
Womack.
awesome. Like, yeah, you
I
guys
miss
are
him.
amazing, and I just want to say that you guys have done an amazing job as far as being artists, and what you guys have done for me as understanding music even better. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, thank
What's
you.
up, man? Yeah, man. Hey, y'all just getting sucked off all morning here, man. Okay, Jesus. Do we have a question here? All right, we got Ebger. Ebger's on the line. Good morning, Ebger. Go ahead, man. Yeah, go ahead, man. What you want to say?
Man, I've been a fan of you guys. Good morning, everybody, first of all.
Good morning.
Don't worry about it, Tom.
Been a fan of you guys since I was like 12 years old, man. You guys, shaped a lot of, my youth, always ever had a problem. Always had to go to Gorillaz. You guys are, amazing.
Wow.
Can't wait to see if you guys come to New York.
Yeah, we're
show
coming
in New
back.
York.
We're going to be everywhere in the autumn in America.
All right, okay.
That's a promise.
Mike from San Diego. Go ahead, Mike. With that great
Hey,
question,
good morning,
Mike.
everybody. How's everybody doing?
Yo, what's
Peace,
up,
my
man?
brother.
What's up?
Hey, now I just want to say, man, what you guys are doing for music is incredible right now, because that last track with Pusha T on there, man, if I heard that on the radio or so much stuff like that on the radio every day, man, I wouldn't turn the radio off. But like y'all said, all that shit's blending in, that trap music and all. 21 Savage, no disrespect to them young guys, but man, I'm not with that hip hop. I'm with the old hip hop and shit that sound like what y'all doing right now. So keep it up, man.
Nice.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you,
What's
man.
up, man?
Appreciate you.
Yeah, it is.
And we got a lot more callers, but I kind of know what they're going to say. You guys will be playing in New York September 15th through the 17th. The Human Tour starts July 8th in the States, in Chicago, but go online to find out more dates. We're going to world premiere an exclusive called Moments that's featuring De La Soul. You guys were really adamant about us playing this. Why?
Well, because it's just at being in the zeitgeist of the now, being right here, being present. I think what's going on in pop culture and just social settings is people are not living the moment. They're so busy trying to document it. It's kind of a testimony what he was saying about auto-tune. It's like man, where's the humanity and all that?
Well, where do we go? The point is, where do we go from here?
Exactly.
What happens next? Because if this is what we're relying on, and emotionally, kids are like that. Their phone is as important as their parents.
Oh shit!
No, the phone is their parents. I mean, like the TV or whatever, the movies, their dad, the radio's their mother. The phone is like their whole family, and if you take it away from you see the emotional response and connection to that. So, which is why there's a Z at the end of humans.
Yeah.
What are we evolving or devolving into?
Tony, you're really deep, man.
I try, man. Whenever,
I didn't know that about you, man.
Oh no, he's definitely
different, right? He's different.
Well, the music,
he's different.
The music. I mean, the art. Everybody says art imitates life, or life imitates art. I disagree with that testimony. It's like life is inspired by art, and art inspires life. And if you're not living life, how are you creating art?
Yeah,
I love it, man. The Gorillaz are here. Pasta Noose is here.
What up?
Pos, we're gonna play.
Try and work out what Poss is saying in this.
Okay. Well, before we play it, before we even play it, because we're gonna end with that song. But we have a policy here, Damon, like for MCs, that anytime they come into this room, we don't just play their music. You gotta earn the play, and
you asked for this.
I thought maybe if Wonder dropped a beat that we could kind of all
do
see
something.
what come out.
All right.
See what happens.
I'm not a hyena. I am not.
I thought maybe all three,
I'll add something.
We could do something.
I mean, mine might be singing based.
Okay, I know. I know.
I might juggle. Line going.
No, let's stay in the moment.
Yeah,
no pun intended. Yo, Wonder, go ahead. Yeah, Sway the Morning Shade 4-5. Gorillaz saying here, Humans. That's the name of the project. I don't know, Damon. Maybe you could sing a riff something.
We're gonna hear it. Okay.
And Posh, you come in with a verse after that. Anything, man. Yeah.
You gotta jump in the rhyme too, bro. Someone do
Plug
something.
one.
Look, cool it in, cool suave. We put it down to the paint. We ain't doing this to like the shank. You jump in, Tone. Okay. Rock it.
All right, let's go, man. Let's go, Tone. You know what this is.
One time, sunshine, moonlight, watch me, no strife. Tone, T1, T-O-N-E. We take many steps to get E. Sanctuary. Encyclopedia, library. That boy's got talent. Keep it going.
Here's the hook.
I ain't know how.
Yeah. All right, give it up for the Gorillaz. Nah, we stayed in the moment. That was dope, man. No. Thank you. He started spelling out his name, man. That boy got bars.
T to the O to the N to the Y.
Your pa said, I'm not a hyena. Gentlemen, I just want to thank you for your consistent contribution. And as you can see, the way all you have affected and impacted lives in a positive way, and continued success. And we'd love to have y'all back on the show just to sit up and talk.
Yeah, for real.
We can always promote whatever. This platform is your platform.
Thank you.
But just to hear this conversation, really, I think we all enjoyed it. So thank you for coming by. All right?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's Sway in the morning, only on Shade 45.